everyone, Lauren here from Detox Me Tuesday, and I'm here again with the wonderful Daniela Kende of Color Me Complete.
Hi guys.
And we're here to talk all about postpartum nutrition, which is a huge topic. So Daniela, do you want to tell us what we're diving into today? What we're making?
Sure. So I, after having my baby 16 months ago, got really passionate about creating easy recipes and supporting other moms as they transition into postpartum.
And that's now a big part of your business, right?
It is, yeah. So I host workshops and do postpartum pantry prep sessions, freezer meal sessions, all of that. Because I was somewhat surprised after that as much as I love to cook, I didn't want to cook and had no time or energy for months.
Right,
so
I can imagine.
I have one of my favorite postpartum recipes here. These are my complete meatballs.
Love it!
So basically the one big thing with postpartum is trying to sneak in veggies and immune boosting ingredients and fiber, all the stuff that when you're not cooking a lot, you're not going to necessarily have all that fresh veggies on hand. So if you could put it in a recipe now, so it's in there. So for these meatballs, instead of just having ground meat of your choosing and herbs, I actually pack in all this stuff. One of the reasons I chose to highlight this recipe is that after giving birth, a lot of women, most women, have lost a lot of blood. And so iron is something that you already are likely to be deficient during pregnancy or slightly lower because your blood volume has increased so much.
Yeah, I didn't know. It was like news to me that I was just going to bleed for a long time after I have this baby.
Yeah, so
no one talks about that. Got my Depends ready.
Seriously. Iron is great. Animal heme iron, it's called, is a really easy way for your body to absorb iron. So I use grass-fed organic beef. With any animal protein, you want to really choose top quality. I also love using bison for this. Those who don't want to go the red meat route, you could do turkey, ground chicken. That's going to give you iron. It's also going to give you protein. Protein is one of the most important things. All the amino acids that make up protein is what builds your cells, your muscles. So when you think of repair after childbirth, repair and regrowth, protein is really important. It also keeps you satisfied, gives you some more energy during the day. So that's your starting point. Then shifting gears, I wanted to add more fiber to this. So a common issue postpartum is constipation.
I've heard that one.
You're bleeding and you can't go to the bathroom. It's great. But you have such a cute baby.
Yeah, right. It's worth it.
So I add flax meal. So flax seeds are one of my favorite ingredients to use for all sorts of stuff. But here you can see really gelatiny. It makes for a good egg replacement.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so you could use it in any recipe instead of or in addition to eggs. Flax gives you tons of fiber. It helps everything bind together.
And we made it gooey like this. She taught me you just add water.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know how to make it like gelatin.
Yeah, and this was like 5-10 minutes and now it's totally good to go. So flaxseed is great for a fiber boost, and then oats here are my other kind of secret for this meatball. So in a blender, I just pulse down oats so it looks like breadcrumbs. So you don't want to over blend it, so like 2 seconds. And oats are another good food both for your fiber and your complex carbs also, which I know we'll get to it. They support breastfeeding. So a little bit of energy from your oats, you get your B vitamins, you get a nice...
And do you get, if there's a need to be gluten-free with oats, do you get the same benefits from gluten-free oats?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I always buy gluten-free oats. I prefer to, I'm not strictly gluten-free, but I like to go
it's like mine as well, right?
Yeah. Just avoid the cross-contamination. So I get the oats in there, and then spinach is great to just get your phytonutrients, your greens. You can use spinach, you can use Swiss chard. I like doing a power greens mix, any kind of green. Just chop it up. You're gonna saute it with your veggies. The other veggie that I love for a meatball is mushrooms. So mushrooms, they add a lot of moisture and they help the flavor, but also they're really great for your immune system. And the last thing you want is to be sick in your early postpartum days. So especially shiitake mushrooms, these are regular cremini, but they actually really help support your immune system.
Oh wow, I've never heard that.
Yeah, as do onions and garlic. So using both of these for flavor, for immune support, and greens for your phytonutrients and to get your fresh veggie content in. And you got your fiber, your complex carbs, and your protein. So it really is a complete meatball because it's kind of a complete meal in one. The other thing is it's a finger food, which is really nice, and you can freeze them. They freeze really well.
And so really what I'm hearing that we need is kind of the same thing we need before is the protein, the high protein, the fat, the fiber, the greens.
Yeah.
And then adding in things for immunity, also good.
And
then
iron.
Iron, yes, that's a good one. Okay.
Your needs don't change that much, but what changes is a lot of people actually stop caring as much about their health. So while we're pregnant, we're like, okay, I gotta eat well, baby's there, and then you have a baby and you're exhausted, and that fatigue, the number one thing you end up reaching for is refined carbohydrates, because your brain wants quick energy. And so what I found is, unless there are convenient things, like really convenient, already prepared, it's gonna be break and bake cookies and cereal and because it's a combination of exhaustion and stress and the unknown, and with that brings up childhood cravings, brings up the need for comfort food. So I like to do a lot of like upgrades to comfort foods.
I like that.
I'll do like a mac and cheese. I like to do that because you can actually freeze that too, and then just warm it up like in a casserole kind of dish. But instead of putting a ton of cheese, I'll put cauliflower cream and some macadamia or cashew cream. So kind of just.
So it sounds like just setting yourself up, which we'll get to health, like really good tips on this later, but setting yourself up for success with satiating, high protein, fat, fiber, green foods. Really is the key. So you're not just getting a bunch of junk.
And not feeling like pressure to deprive or drop baby weight right away. Because that's the thing that I've had clients who it's like 4 weeks postpartum and they're like, well, why do I still have a bump? And it's something that you don't see pictures online because we're not sharing it, and you can feel really vulnerable and self-conscious. So like as much as possible, just loving on yourself through nourishing with food and through not worrying about weight loss right away. Like if you focus on actually eating well and taking care of your body will go back to its happy place without pushing, because if you deprive, you can actually end up depriving your breast milk supply. If that's something you're trying to do, then that can really be detrimental to cut calories and get too intense about weight loss. So that's the perfect segue into
we need, kind of what we already covered is what we need for mom and her body. What about adding in nutrients or extra things to support breastfeeding?
One of the things that is easy to forget to do but really important is to continue taking your prenatal vitamin. So when you're breastfeeding, your body is working overtime to, first of all, you need the extra calories too, but then just nutrient wise, your breast milk is amazing. Like it pulls everything, it has to come from somewhere. And so you could take either the prenatal you're taking. There are a few companies that make postnatal vitamins. They're all pretty similar.
That's what I figured,
a lot of it's a marketing thing. So I continued my prenatal. I'm a big fan of the Designs for Health one. And one of the things that you can get in your prenatal, but also I like to start with getting in food, is calcium. So for breastfeeding moms, your estrogen is lower when you're breastfeeding. And with low estrogen comes a slightly higher risk of osteoporosis. So you want to really take care of your bone health. Calcium's great. My favorite calcium source is bone in fish. So sardines. If you get wild sardines, you check the box with the bone in.
Does that include salmon?
Yes.
Salmon.
Salmon and sardines are the top two. What's great about those is you get your calcium and you also get your omega-3s, which is one of the other things. So postpartum mood disorders, mood issues are really prevalent. So anything you can do to add in mood boosting ingredients with your food. Your serotonin is mostly produced in your gut. So when you get more omega-3s, that's actually going to really help balance your mood. The healthy fat there is great for stabilizing not just your blood sugar, but your mood. Which is
so I can
really
keep going
important.
with the almond butter spoonfuls.
Definitely. And the other thing with breastfeeding or not breastfeeding, but especially is taking a good probiotic. So I'm a huge fan of seed probiotics.
You know that one?
I have a female specific one, and I noticed a big difference preventing constipation. Probiotics can also actually help with your mood, and when you're taking a good one, baby will get some as well, which is great. Great for developing their microbiome, which is still a work in progress. These tiny little creatures.
That's awesome.
So your probiotic, your calcium. For breastfeeding, there's a lot of breastfeeding support foods. They're called galactagogues. These are herbs or foods that support lactation.
Okay.
Since like ancient times, cultures have
Never
been
heard
using
that.
these foods. Yeah, so you'll see lactation teas a lot, like mother's milk tea.
Right.
The most common herbs are fenugreek, milk thistle, and fennel. So
I've heard milk thistle.
yeah.
Okay.
The thing I always like to point out though is don't jump into like taking a bunch of lactation support herbs until you know if you have a problem with your supply. Because most people, like, your milk supply will probably be what your baby needs it to be. Before like getting crazy with herbs, I always say if your milk supply is low, up your healthy fats, up your fiber, your complex carbs like your oats.
You've mentioned calcium, vitamin D. What other vitamins should we be taking? Continue with our prenatal, and then which other things should we concentrate on taking or making sure we're getting enough of?
Yep. Vitamin C and vitamin D are both always important. Vitamin C is a precursor for collagen production in the body. So you can also take collagen, and I love collagen protein powders. I'll use that. This is like shifting maybe 5 to 10 months postpartum, but I experienced a ton of hair loss, all that hair that you don't lose during pregnancy. So that vitamin C can help your body work on your new hair growth that's coming in. But vitamin C is also obviously good for your immune system. Vitamin D is good because your baby needs to get more through your breast milk. That's actually something that I also added a little bit for baby directly. Like a tiny drop every few days. Because it's hard for babies to get enough vitamin D. And it's important in so many functions in the body.
And most people are vitamin D deficient these days, they say. So.
And so it's a good idea to have your blood checked always, but to have your levels tested every day so that you know where you stand, and then you know how much you should be taking. But that's great. Another one that supports good mood too, and bone development. The other one that I wanted to mention is magnesium. So that's something that can help with constipation. Magnesium is involved in almost every function of the body. So taking magnesium at night before bed. I love magnesium glycinate. It's a form of it that's more easily digestible.
Is it a powder?
It's a capsule.
A capsule.
Yeah. I found that magnesium citrate, which is more common, is hard for some people to digest. So for me, it actually made me more bloated, uncomfortable. So you know that there are options. If the first one isn't working for you, you can probably get something more well-suited, like the glycinate formulation. Cool.
That was also helpful. Back to the recipe. We've put all these together in a bowl. I mean, are we just literally just mixing it all together?
Yeah, so what I start with is cooking the veggies, so it's gonna have much more flavor if you saute everything first. So I use a little bit of high heat safe avocado oil, and I saute my chopped onion. You wanna chop everything finely so that it stays together, but you could see there's some texture. Chopped onion, mushroom, garlic, saute those, add in my spinach. I chop it up first, wilt it, and then when that's all ready, put that in a bowl with your oats, your flax.
These are pulse for a second.
These you would pulse first, yes.
And then with this,
the flax, you just stir it right in, and then any kind of herbs and seasonings that you like. With my recipes, I like to have some flexibility for people. I don't want people to feel like they have to measure out half a teaspoon of oregano. Like, I love oregano, so I put a bunch of that. You can put turmeric, which is great for fighting inflammation, and it's normal to feel puffy and inflamed after having a baby, so turmeric's a great ingredient. You could really do any kind of seasonings that you like.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And then
you bake them.
Well, then you add in the meat and you just mix it all together.
Mix it all together, make them into meatballs. I like going small because they bake faster and then they thaw faster and reheat faster.
And they make little bites.
And then I bake them at 375. I've done them 350 to 400, anywhere in there, for about 10 to 15 minutes. I turn them halfway. So they evenly brown.
Well, should we try one?
Yeah.
Let's see. Cheers.
Cheers.
They're so full of flavor. Those are delicious. Everyone needs to make these, pregnant or not.
You don't have to be a new mom to enjoy these.
I love these. So the last thing really is, what are tips and tricks you have for preparing food? Like, I've heard soups are a good idea, like if you have bone broth and just throw in whatever that way. Like, what are some things you would have on hand in your freezer before to prepare?
Bone broth is great because it's a really convenient way to get some protein, and it's really healing and grounding. I'm a fan of that First 40 Days cookbook, and it draws on ancient Chinese wisdom to talk about healing the body after going through something as intense as childbirth. I leaned into a lot of soups And then what I found is that there weren't that many times that I wanted to like be sitting down with a bowl of soup and a spoon while holding a baby.
Interesting, yeah.
So I wish, in retrospect, I did more finger foods. So that's why little egg
tip from a pro.
I was like, okay, I can only have so much soup.
Right.
This is getting kind of hard. So things that you can pick up.
Okay.
So like something like the meatball, something like an egg bite that you can make in mini muffin tins, where you throw, again, putting a bunch of veggies in, baking those up, they freeze really well. Simple little things like pancakes, like a good, like that Birch Bender's paleo pancake mix. Make a huge batch and make little ones and freeze them so that when like at 3 a.m. you're in the kitchen and like hungry and want some comfort, you can just toast a roasted
And I love that Lakanto maple syrup, the sugar-free. Oh,
yes. And then using bags, like resealable, reheatable, those silicone bags, like the stasher bags that you introduced me to.
I love them.
Those are great. So you only have so much room in your freezer. If you have a bunch of Pyrex, it's just you're not going to fit stuff. So you can stack those. That's great. And then the last thing is a bedside stash of bars. So that was huge at 4 a.m. when you're up, or at 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Right. All of the a.m.
You want fuel without spiking your blood sugar.
Right.
So it's important to choose bars that are going to be low in sugar. I like to aim for 5 grams, at the most 10 grams of sugar in a bar, and get something that has protein, fiber, and fat. So my favorites right now are Primal Kitchen protein bars. I love those. I love the Bulletproof bars.
Me too. Those are my favorite.
Those lemon cookie ones.
Yes.
So good.
So
and
good.
then Kalumi bars.
Yep.
Great. Collagen bar. Those are kind of my top ones right now.
That's good to know. What about just like, I mean, I'm a big raw nuts and seeds, so just like bowls of that, that's good too.
Yeah, totally. And see how your body feels, because nuts can be hard on digestion.
That's true.
Your digestion is not as strong for a lot of people after having a baby. So sometimes you need to kind of dial down.
So even on the veggies, not so much salad, more cooked, kind of Ayurvedic, where everything's warming.
That's the approach I like to take, and it depends on the season. Like even seasonally, I had my baby in January, so nothing about a smoothie sounded good to me. Yeah. If you're having a summer baby and you're hot, that might sound amazing. So rather than trying to think there's like such strict rules, I think the most important thing is listen to your intuition, because your body will really tell you what it needs if you love it and respect it and listen to it.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm so glad I'm like off the hook for making all these soups. Like I was just thinking I have to make all these soups, but it sounds so much more fun to make these complete meatballs and egg bites and having the pancakes around. That sounds ideal and delicious.
And some fresh fruits when you want something sweet. It's easy to reach for that.
I feel like I learned a lot, and I actually feel ready to like take this on. I was really honestly intimidated, and when we were preparing questions, I was like, I don't know. I feel like I have so many questions I don't even know where to begin, because it's kind of been something that I've honestly put off a little bit preparing, but now I'm like ready.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
There's so much else you're focusing on. Yeah. So it takes into the last few weeks and you're like, oh, there is something else after this.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And definitely know that Daniela has amazing services that she has, that she can help anyone walk through this.
Yeah.
Pre-baby, postpartum, non-baby, but so definitely make sure to look her up for that.
Thank you.
Thanks
for
watching.
coming over. Bye.
I'm gonna finish this.